Hi gang, Miss Edie here. My channel is Purposefully Living Sometimes. Let me get that out one more time. Purposefully Living Sometimes. I threw in that sometimes because of course we want to live purposefully, but we're not perfect. I don't want to be under the umbrella of perfectionism. Been there, done that. I'll read you real fast this quote that I read, and it says, perfectionism is self-abuse of the highest order. And don't I know that? So we're not going to be about perfectionism. We'll be about purposeful. So today's topic is joyful living. What I want to do right now is to contrast happy with joyful. And so happy is reliant on something happening to us. I received a promotion. I bought a new purse that I'm thrilled about. I'm going on vacation. It's happiness is the result of a happening. It's an external component, whereas joy or joyfulness is an internal. I am doing things to bring about the joy that transcends my life. I joined the Joyful Journey train, the Joyful Journey train, some years ago. Back in the late 90s, almost to 2000, I was downsized from my job of 20 years. And of course, I was in a funk over that and was in a downward spiral. In order to climb out of that black hole, I had to do a lot of things. And one of the things was reading. There are several books that I can think of, but one of them was The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck. I read that book, Feel the Fear, but Do It Anyway. What else? And here lately, there are two books that I have read that really informed my joyful journey. I used to call in the past my upward out of the hole, but I think joyful journey sounds more positive. So the two books would be the Book of Joy, and the other book was the Four Agreements. I'm going to focus on the Four Agreements on this segment, and probably the next two segments on the Four Agreements. And the Four Agreements is a book by Miguel Ruiz. All you have to do is Google the Four Agreements, and it's so popular, and it's been popular for about 15 years that you don't even have to know the author's name, nor do you need to know the author's name for the Book of Joy. In the Four Agreements, he's talking about agreements that we make up to ourselves, almost like a contract you're making with yourself. And the four agreements are, number one, be impeccable with your word. Number two agreement is don't take it personally. How freeing that agreement was for me. Number three is don't make assumptions. And number four is always do your best. And so what we're going to do the next segment is talk about the first agreement, to be impeccable with your word. Before I sign off for this segment, I would like to say that being joyful doesn't mean you're not going to be sad, or that you're not going to have fretting times where you're fretting over this or that. I can remember when my dog passed, my beloved Molly passed, and for sure I was very, very, very sad. I am sometimes still, but in the midst of that sadness, I realized I still had joy. I still was grateful for so many things. I was grateful that I had her for almost 15 years. So joy is internal and it transcends being happy, being sad, being mad, being whatever. So I just wanted to make a distinction that you can't leap tall buildings at a single bound just because you're joyful. So I'm going to sign off, and I like to say be joyful, be hopeful, and most importantly, be purposeful.